job, Fred? I heard it was a day. We'll go into that later, but I heard it was. So I have these letters of affirmation for all the council to distribute. Not a big deal, but how's it going, sir?
Good. How about you all?
All right. Yeah, man. Good. Chilly.
Oh, support. Okay. Okay. The band. Okay. Okay, I got it. Oh, thank you, sir.
Might need that. I filled it out.
Thank you.
Walking around.
Well, no, I'll give it to them later. Yeah, we just passed out. Oh.
I didn't give him a hard time.
She's just read it.
He come up in the middle of all that.
But he works on campus. He goes back in Texas. He works Sunday night, Monday night.
Oh, that due diligence stuff?
But he's a junior now.
They just didn't pass out. That's a good thing about right now. You got they're a dime a dozen.
I understand.
Oh, thank you.
Father, I can make a citizen. Yeah. Every time you say, oh, one of our babies, I'm like, yeah, they're like 20
Yeah,
now.
he's like 6 foot tall.
The last few times he went quick, I give him that. So I hope he
Good to see you.
You have a good evening.
Yes, sir. I know, keep it moving. Okay. Running a little bit behind in our council meeting. We had a lot of celebrations going on in our committees. There we go. I'd like to call to order the City of Douglasville City Council regular meeting for tonight, which is November the 16th. Our invocation will be done by Pastor Gene Fields, pastor of the Heritage Baptist Church, and after that, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by the Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller. Please stand for the invocation.
Pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, first of all, we thank you for this day, Father, this gift from you. Father, we are very intentional at this time of the year to be thankful for the things around us and our families. And Father, just acknowledge publicly that the reality is that everything we have, Father, comes from you. And so, Father, we say thank you to that. Literally, the very air that we breathe, Father, is a gift. And so we thank you for that. Father, I know there's many in our community that are still being shut in, that are sick, Father, or having trials through all the COVID and all the things going on, Father. And I just ask a healing blessing on our community, Father. Father, I ask that also, Father, in a unified way, that, Father, our community is healed and brought together, not just as people, but people under you. Father, I thank you for the opportunity to pray in this environment, Father. Father, I pray specifically tonight for our city council and our mayor. Father, I ask, as I do for all of us, to see our community, Father, with your heart and with your eyes. Again, Father, we love you and thank you. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem, for leading us in the pledge, and we appreciate you and your patience, Pastor Fields, in giving us an invocation and offering up that blessing. I'll do the announcements and presentations before we start our agenda. I'd like to welcome you to the City of Douglasville's regular voting meeting. This is a City Council regular meeting of agenda items where official action will be taken tonight on the items that were discussed at our legislative work session on last Thursday. If the business you're here for is not listed as an agenda item, there will be ample time under the agenda items, comments from citizens and delegates section for you to discuss your business. Just a few protocol issues. We do have a presentation tonight, which is a proclamation that we're going to honor one of our esteemed citizens in the community. But before we do that, I'll just give you a few protocol items that we're going over. Do we have Council Member Estes on the phone? Is he calling in? Okay, so I'll go over that as well. So I'll do that first. This is an open meeting of the Douglasville Mayor and Council. Is being conducted by teleconference consistent with the Official Code of Georgia, annotated Section 50-14-1G, due to emergency conditions involving public safety in order to mitigate the transmission of the coronavirus and to reduce the risk of COVID-19 illness. That code section, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows for local governments to meet by teleconference in the event of emergency, so long as means are afforded by the public to have simultaneous access to the teleconference meeting. For this meeting, we are convening partially by Zoom software as shown on the city's website, describing how the public may join, which is via YouTube. Council Member Estes, are you on the call? If you are, please say present.
Present, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much. It's good to hear your voice. And now I'll go on with the protocol issues. I would ask that you would keep your comments and presentations on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for this governing body to make our decisions. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be of a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. we'll ask that you would not do that, and if you, we'll give you a warning from the chair if you deviate from that requirement for a second deviation, where we request that you will stop speaking if you're being derogatory in any way. Well, only one person speaking at a time. Please do not applaud or react to speakers from the audience, cheer, or carry on conversations. I'll remind you that we're only required to accept public comments on zoning matters, and this is how the meeting will be handled. The agenda items will be handled as the following. The committee chairperson will read the agenda item, then the person representing that agenda item or applicant will make his or her presentation. Myself and council members will possibly ask questions before we vote this evening. It'll go a little differently than it did last Thursday. It'll go a little quicker because we have already deliberated over the information that we received last Thursday, and tonight we'll be voting on those items. I'll ask that the committee chairperson, they'll give that, the committee chairperson will ask for the person to come up. You'll have a maximum of 20 minutes per side, 20 minutes for those in favor, 20 minutes for those in opposition, and each person has 5 minutes to speak. If you would like to come and speak on a zoning matter, there is a card that you should have filled out on the table out there, and when you come to the podium, please give us your name and address for the record. Anyone that's coming before us to speak, please give us your name and address for the record. Each person will have one opportunity. It's not a question and answer or debate format. We're just here to receive the information before we deliberate and make our decisions. If you have an electronic device, a telephone or iPad or such, please put it in silent mode or turn it off, those materials or electronic devices off, so that it will not interrupt the meeting. Now we have a presentation tonight, and it's a proclamation honoring Mr. Jimmy Hulsey. And I will read the proclamation, and will ask that the family would come forward after I read. And I don't know if we have a representative from the family that would like to make a statement, and then we'll take a picture with myself, council members, and the family. We'll kind of try to socially distance and take a picture in honor. So, Office of the Mayor, proclamation to honor Jimmy Dale Hulsey. Whereas Mr. Jimmy Dale Hulsey was born July 1st, 1946 in Halvilleville, Alabama, before coming to Douglasville. And whereas he survived by his wife of over 57 years, Miss Evelyn Bolin Hulsey of Douglasville. And whereas Mr. Hulsey owned a commercial and residential real estate company, and whereas in his younger years he raced dirt track cars and later collected antique cars. I didn't know he was a racer. And whereas he was a passionate advocate of the North Side community. He aided in the efforts to establish a fire station in Ward 3 and worked to bring new businesses into the ward. And whereas Mr. Hulsey was instrumental in the Highway 92 project by donating commercial property to aid in the expansion of the project. Now, therefore, I, Rochelle Robinson, Mayor of the City of Douglasville, and on behalf of the Douglasville City Council and the citizens of the city, do hereby recognize Mr. Jimmy Dale Hulsey's esteemed service and contributions to the City of Douglasville, and give thanks for a life well lived. So proclaimed this 16th day of November, 2020. Let's give Mr. Hulsey a hand, please. Honor him. And we'll ask that the family will come forward, and we'll have someone speak, and then we'll present the proclamation. And I know Councilmember Burt Danley called and let me know when Mr. Hulsey received his wings. And so we're, of course, it's bittersweet because he was such a great person and such a great friend to me, very supportive, and he was like a quiet storm. He really was a very nice man. He came to visit me at the city, and he always talked about his wife, his children, and his grandchildren. He was so very proud, and such a very, very nice man, and a great person in the community that we'll miss. So I don't know if we'll open the floor for any council members that want to make any comments.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. Thank you,
Yes,
Madam
ma'am.
Mayor.
You're
Just to
welcome.
Miss Evelyn Hulsey, I'd say she's my mom from another mother. And to the entire family, you're just awesome and wonderful. And I want to say that I did receive the letter from Congressman David Scott. I just didn't have time to go home, but I'll make sure you get it this week. Just want to say I love all of you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments from Councilman Davis?
Yes, ma'am. I could write a book. Jimmy was just like I was his brother. And he always say, we're going to spend a whole day at the casino. And I said, Jimmy, I run out of money. He said, don't worry about it. But Jimmy, Mr. Hulsey was one of my greatest friends, and I tell you, I never forget when we all went to see Mr. David Scott, and he asked me what he's supposed to say. I said, just look pretty. Let Miss Evelyn do all the talking. And Jimmy, you know, I attended the homegoing, and that's my friend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any other comments? We'll have the family. Do you have a member from the family that wants to speak? Please come forward and give us your name, and then we'll take a photo with whomever members want to come forward in the council and present the proclamation. Yes,
Good evening.
sir. Good evening.
Sam, thank you. I have a story to tell about Mr. Sam Davis here, honorable councilman here,
Yes, sir.
with his permission. Not many people in this room know it, but he is the original 50 Cent.
Oh, wait a minute. His daddy named me when I was little. And he always called me 50 Cent. When I pull in here at a gas station, I pull in the gas station.
only have 50
Mark,
cents.
you know about that, the gas station. And I said, give me 50 cents. Well, there's just a little young boy who was able to drive. He called me 50 cents until now, 50 cents.
You only have 50 cents for gas.
And Sam, thank you for letting me share that, and thank you, Madam Mayor and council members, for everything you've done to honor my father and everything you've done to help our family along the way with all the progression that Dad fought so hard for the north side. He was a voice for those who didn't have one.
That's right.
And if he didn't agree with you, he'd let you know real quick where he stood. He could be intimidating, but he had a heart of gold, and he would be so tickled to know that y'all were laughing and having a good time and talking about him here tonight. And on behalf of myself and my family, we can't thank you enough, and we hope to carry on the fight for him, to do everything we can to move the north side forward and the entire county for that matter.
Yes, sir.
And again, thanks to all of you for everything you've done to help us as well along the way. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you so
Ask
much.
a question.
Oh, yes, sir.
I
Councilman
had a
Adams.
question. I grew up a little behind Sam, but I will say that when fuel was only 27 cents a gallon, 50 cents was a little gas in the tank, Sam. So I'm with you. Mr. Hulsey was the brother to 3 other brothers. Is that right?
That's correct, sir.
Curly, Tony, and
HM. Oh, I'm sorry, Curly, Tony, and Terry.
Terry. Okay. Well, I grew up, as I said, a little behind Sam, but they had a gas station. I want to say it was on Bankhead Highway. Okay. And I worked for Mr. Bill Gray in the used car business, and I believe we at times traded there. I had to go there, and so Tony is more my age, but I do remember them more than your father because he was the oldest of the 4. Is that correct?
Curly was the oldest.
Curly
Dad-
was the
Dad
oldest.
was the
Okay.
second, yes.
Well, we won't tell him I said that. But we thank you for coming, and we hope that this will help to support the family during this kind of time. Thank you
It
so
does.
much, folks.
Yes, sir.
Mark, the Pelican, with a Pelican snow cone,
That's it.
that was it right there.
Oh, my goodness. So, Mr. Hulsey, you have whomever from the family wants to come forward, and we'll take a picture and give you the proclamation as your mom. Please come around, council.
Y'all got to get a lot closer, the best you can. Picture right here, and then we'll widen out. Y'all can move over here in a second. side. There you go, kind of get on either side of, there you go, there you go. Okay. Dr. Stanley, if you can come around to the front, there we go. Okay, here we go. That looks good. Here we go on 3, 2, and 1. I'm going to do another one. 3, 2, and 1. Thank you.
It's always nice to honor citizens in the community. We are in a wonderful community. It's good to be able to connect with each other. So now we'll move on with the agenda as printed. We have the minutes of the legislative work session of October 29th, 2020, and the regular meeting of November 2nd, 2020. I open the floor for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you so much, Councilman Adams. Have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Do we see any additions or corrections to the minutes? All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The minutes are, thank you so much, Councilman Estes. The minutes are unanimously approved. We'll move on then to the consent agenda. Open the floor for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you so much, Councilman Davis. It's been properly moved in second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion as it relates to the consent agenda? All those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The consent agenda is unanimously approved. We'll move on then to item number 7, which is Economic Development Committee, and that's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have
You're welcome.
2 items tonight under the Economic Development Committee. The first is to adopt a resolution enacting a revised 2020 tax plan to be administered by the Development Authority of the City of Douglasville. And I don't know if Mr. Chris Pumphrey, if you have anything that you'd like to add or further clarify with the issue before we take it up?
Chris Pumphrey, Douglas County Economic Development Authority, 8512 Bowden Street. And we don't have any additional information to add to Thursday, but if you have any questions, feel free to, I will answer those questions.
We thoroughly discussed this, I guess, on Thursday. I don't know if there are any last minute questions or that anybody has for Mr. Pumphrey. Mr. Adams, yes.
I'd just like to ask Mr. Pumphrey to make sure, Chris, I believe you and I talked about this by phone prior. You feel as though the program that we're heading into, if we adopt this, would be more beneficial to our community and more helpful to us rather than possibly the one that we would be replacing it with in the long term, correct?
Yes, we are I guess, codifying the types of industries that we are not providing a property tax incentive to, and then we also are reducing the level of aggressiveness on some of the higher end type schedules that we had. So we're reducing that, restricting it a bit more, which should produce even more potential tax revenue from those projects.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank
That's
you,
all.
Mr. Adams. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, then I would like to place item number 20-567 in the form of motion for approval.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved to approve item 20-567. Any additional comments or questions from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. All those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Next item is to adopt a resolution approving a time-limited, performance-based ad valorem property tax incentive for the benefit of Project Douglas, and authorizing the mayor to sign a tax incentives agreement with the Development Authority of the City of Douglasville, the Douglas County Board of Assessors, the Douglas County Tax Commissioner, and the owner of Project Douglas. Mr. Pumphrey, anything additional to add at this time?
No, that is pretty much it. We have, as I mentioned on Thursday, we've been working with the company and tried to bring a plan that adhere to what what you all have now adopted as the 2020 tax plan. We tried to approve a plan that kind of fell under those parameters. And so we are still working with the company on a few things. We're going through, there might be a couple of typos in the document that we discovered. So we're fixing those, but we're not changing anything of substance in it. But we will bring those back and make sure we work with Ms. Littlefield on any of those corrections.
Thank you, Mr. Pumphrey. Any questions or comments from the members of the councils? I think Cloud Corridor has a very nice ring to it, I'll just say that. That being said, I would like to place item 20-568 in the form of a motion for approval.
Second.
Thank you so much. It's been properly moved and second by Councilmember Davis. Moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, the Chair, and second by Councilmember Davis to approve item 20-568. Do we have any additional comments or questions from council members? Any further discussion? Thank you. I don't see any. All those in favor of approving this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. 20-568 is unanimously approved.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That is all we have under the Economic Development Committee at this time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We'll move on to item number 8, which is Finance Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
We have no business tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Housing and Community Affairs Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Verdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Legislative and Intergovernmental Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
No business tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Personnel and Organization Committee, chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight in personnel and organization.
Thank you, sir. Item number 12, which is Planning and Development Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have 3 items tonight.
Yes,
We will
sir.
start item A by holding a public hearing to consider a request for a variance to reduce the required 15-foot minimum side setback in section 3.03 of the Unified Development Ordinance for a variance of 12 feet for a remaining requirement of 3 feet on the northwest side of a lot of .74 acres located 8840 Elma Street, land lot 22, District 1, Section 5B, Parcel 37. Application by Roosevelt Harrell. Ms. Patrice Williams is here tonight as the city's representative. Ms. Williams?
Patrice Williams, Community Development Director, 6701 Church Street. At this time, I do not have any new information to add, but we do have the applicant with us tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. If there is a representative of the applicant here that would like to make any comment, please come forward. Give us your name and address for the record. I think we have discussed this thoroughly on Thursday night during our public hearing. I see Mr. Kemp is in the audience, but I assume he does not have anything he'd like to say. I do not see Mr. Harrell. Is there anyone here that would speak, did not have an opportunity on Thursday to speak, that would like to speak, either in opposition or in favor of the application? Seeing none, then we will close that portion of the public hearing. Council, Madam Mayor, did you all have any questions or comments? I know we did make some changes in our discussion on Thursday night, and I'm going to ask our Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Littlefield, to help me with the wording on this if there's no additional information. Okay? I'm going to make a motion to approve, place it in the form of a motion to approve the variance, but that would be changed to a variance of 8 feet, I believe it is. Is that correct, Ms. Littlefield?
Yes, sir.
For a remaining sideline setback of 7 feet for this applicant. And in doing so, I think that we have we had surmised that after looking at his plan for what he wanted to build as an attachment to the home, that would be actually what he would need. And so therefore we would allow him to do this in addition to saving more sideline property for ingress and egress. So that's my motion.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I have a motion to approve item 20-556 with the adjusted requirements as read by the chair. I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you so much, Councilman Watts. It's been properly moved in second to approve item 20-556. Are there any additional comments or questions or any further discussion as it relates to this item from council members? Thank you. I don't see any. All those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item 20-556 is approved with the requirements as read by the chair.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
We'll move on to item B. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a variance to reduce the required 50-foot minimum front setback in section 3.03B of the Unified Development Ordinance for a variance of 15 feet for a remaining requirement of 35 feet on the east side of a lot of .736 acres located at 8840 Camilton Street, land lot 22, District 1, Section 5B, parcel 46. Application by Mark and Tasha Van, and Ms. Williams is here as our representative. Ms. Williams?
Patrice Williams, Community Development Director, 6701 Church Street. At this time, I do not have any information to add, but we do have the applicant here if you have any additional questions.
Council, Madam Mayor, Mr. and Mrs. Van are here. We do need to give opportunity to anyone that would like to speak, but do we have any comments or questions for the applicant from council or mayor? Anyone here that would speak either for or against the application, please come forward. Not seeing any, then we will close that public hearing and we will make a motion to approve this variance.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Thank you so much, Councilman Davis. Been properly moved and second to approve item 20-555. Do we have any additional comments or questions, or is there any further discussion as it relates to this item? Thank you. Not seeing any. All those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And we have one abstention. Councilmember Miller in. Okay, it's been unanimous, not unanimously, but majority approved for item 20-555. It's been approved.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll move on to item C. Last item for the night. Hold a public hearing and consider a proposed ordinance to amend section 6.03 of the Unified Development Ordinance to revise provisions relating to the flood hazard district and to amend the definition of a new manufactured home park or subdivision in section 13.02 in said ordinance. Application by the city of Douglasville. Ms. Williams?
Patrice Williams, Community Development Director, 6701 Church Street. At this time, there's no additional information.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Just to review, to make sure that we all understand, this is basically a housekeeping issue in order to correct some items that were suggested that we take care of to update our ordinance, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. It's been properly moved in second to approve item 20-500. Do we have any additional comments or questions as it relates to this item? Thank you. I don't see any. All those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you so much, Councilman Estes. It's been unanimously approved to approve item 20-500.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's
You're
all
welcome.
that we have tonight.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to item 13, which is Public Improvement and Beautification Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Nicole Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business this evening.
Thank you, ma'am. Public Relations Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Howard Estes.
No business tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilman Estes. Public Safety Committee, chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
No business tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Recreation, Culture, and Tourism Committee, chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight in Recreation, Culture, and Tourism.
Thank you, sir. Technology Committee, chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business at this time under the Technology Committee.
Thank you, Councilman Miller. Transportation Committee, chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley.
No business tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Councilmember Burdanley. Is there any other business to come before council tonight from council members?
Madam Mayor, I'd just like to make
Ma'am.
a comment that the jamboree that the police department, Chief Sparks, and his staff on Hollis Street was very well attended. It was social distancing, and the sheriff's department, along with vendors, also participated. So I just wanted to say, although in spite of COVID, they were very vigilant in regards to social distancing, but also wanting to make sure that the community was still served. It was very well planned.
Very good. I saw it on social media on their Facebook page. It looked like, I thought maybe they had pictures from last year. There were a lot of people, but of course we could see the mask and knew it was this time. So thank you for that update. Any other business from council members? If not, we'll move on to updates from city staff. Our city attorney, Mr. Joel Dodson.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dodson. Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Susan Littlefield. Thank you, ma'am. Our Chief of Police, that's the Deputy Chief, Sue-Ann Shaw.
No business, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, ma'am. Our City Manager, Ms. Marcia Hampton.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Really? Okay. Staff reports. We have a staff update regarding the town green space and amphitheater, and that project is going to be presented by Mr. Marcus Thompson. Good to see you, Mr. Thompson.
Likewise. Good evening, Madam Mayor.
Good
Council.
evening.
Here tonight to present you all with updated renderings from TSW, and also we have Mr. Craig here to discuss further details that was talked about with TSW over the past week. I'll turn it over to Mr. Craig. Yeah, there.
And I know we have some updates, and there was some confusion from our last presentation that some council members didn't understand that some of the comments were going to be taken and made some adjustments, and so we'll see what Mr. Thompson has to present to us in TSW.
Thank you. I'm Sean Craig, 104 Warrenton Drive.
Yes, sir.
This is a follow-up to our discussion that we had last week with Councilmans Miller and Davis. Sorry for the confusion on the notes there. As a follow-up to their comments on our October 29th presentation by the design team for the Town Green project. The renderings that you guys have on your iPads were what was presented so that the folks that were concerned about the shape of the stage and the shape of the buildings could see more clearly what the end result was going to be. And that was the purpose of our follow-up Zoom call last week. Did you guys have any comments that you'd like to?
You can go over with us and tell us what was different from what you presented last week. I know that there are minor changes, but it was something that architecturally Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem talked about with the aesthetics and acoustics for the building, and then maybe some other things. I know Councilmember Davis put a screen or something in there. And then there were some questions. Councilmember Adams talked about the color, I think, or Estes talked about maybe the color of gray and black or something like that. So I think there were some minor changes.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you could just address those so that council members will be abreast of what changed from previously. Yes, sir.
There were no changes from the presentation on the 29th.
Yes, sir.
It's more of a clarification of the difference between looking at a two-dimensional drawing on a screen versus an attempt at a photorealistic rendering, which is what you guys have on your iPads there. The acoustics were a non-issue after the councilmen were able to see the renderings and the shape of the stage, the shape of the roof. The acoustical engineer had some minor adjustments that actually allowed the projection of the sound out better, and that was what was shown more clearly with the photorealistic renderings. We didn't really discuss colors selections and material selections in our Zoom call last week. It wasn't really an issue.
Okay.
They're still in that process of finalizing colors and textures, etc., but we didn't really get into that last week. There were a
Okay.
couple of issues, or items, there weren't issues, that came up, meaning that they wanted to make sure that the soundstage had the support racks up in the ceiling for sound equipment lighting, which is typical for a stage. And we all agreed on the call that the support racks can be supported by the columns because they're oversized. And they can easily support all the truss shapes. And I'm not an expert on sound equipment, so I know it hangs from the ceiling. And we did talk about looking at switching the visual orientation of the support columns. The structural engineer has not gotten back with us yet to see if there's any benefit to, or any prevention from switching the orientation of some of the columns. We'll get a drawing of that before they decide to see if it visually is appealing. And that was really the only comment from the Zoom call that would change something, if you will, but the scope of the project didn't change.
Okay, and that's really, some of their concerns was financial, if there was going to be any, this is a mammoth project for us. I know it's in Councilmember Adams' ward and Councilmember Watt's committee. We just want to make certain that everyone, of course, is abreast to what's going on, and that it doesn't change the financial picture
No, ma'am,
for the investment that we're making.
No decisions made last week. Well, we didn't make any decisions other than to ensure that, like if you'll notice on the renderings, there's a semicircular paved area. The size of that needs to accommodate some static tables that you can offer for VIPs, et cetera. We wanted to make sure we had plenty of room for that, about approximately 100 people or so. The stone seating is going to remain. That's been in the scope since
the beginning,
for 6-8 months. The overall scope of the project didn't change. We didn't add money to the project in our discussions. What we did commit to was adding infrastructure to support things like the visual screens that were shown in the renderings. You're not part of the project yet, but what is inexpensive to do, and part of the scope, is to allow for those things to be added later.
At a later time.
And it doesn't cost any money now to do those things and make provisions for that kind of equipment later. And that was our whole goal.
Yes,
and we're
sir.
still in process of design with the IT department to make sure that everything that you might want to do at a future date is available to be accommodated.
Okay.
And that was our main objective from last week's Zoom call, and I think we came away with some good ideas on how to do that.
Yes, sir. Now, I'll open the floor and ask council members to make any comments. I'll start with Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Danley. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I like the new design. Just wanted to ask a question in regards to stairs, like steps in front of the stage, so that, like, similar to what we have on O'Neill Plaza. Would that be?
If you can,
They're on the left-hand
the stairs
side.
on the side, but in the event, like if the artist wanted to come down, into the audience, they would have to walk behind
they
the.
would come around from the side.
It's
and
on
then
that
go
last
behind the
page.
building.
Stage left and right to get down to the lawn area.
So I was just wondering if it would be more appropriate if there were just some stairs in the front.
Well, and that we can certainly look at that. It's always a toss-up. When you put stairs coming down into a flat area, you have to allow for the horizontal travel, and that we were concerned that might impede the paved area in front. But we can certainly look at that with the design team.
There is also a potential security issue, because a lot of artists may not want people to be able to easily walk up onto the stage. You want to be able to control who can get on the stage, having that drop off. I mean, that's something maybe Sam.
Or even if there were stairs like on the side, not where they have
I
to
think
actually
there are
go
accommodations on the side.
Okay,
where they can
behind
come
the
down.
building. Yeah, because typically if you have, depending on the group, they would already have security up front. But I didn't see any stairs where they could come down. They'd have to go around the building and then out front.
Well, the drawings, the renderings that you have there are,
Okay.
where those two wing walls are.
Right.
That's where the side
Stairs
the
are-
stairs come down on the stage right and stage left.
Okay,
And those
so it's
steps.
so small, I couldn't see them. Thank you.
Yeah,
for
there are
clarifying
steps
that.
on the, if you look hard and pull it up, you can see it's steps going down.
Right.
That
Left
that
and right.
makes sense. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can see it in some of the other renderings.
Oh, right there.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilmember Watts?
Here.
Yes, sir. What I'm looking at here is basically what we had before.
Yes, sir.
So nothing's changed there. And the one suggestion about the support pillars, for lack of a better word, that was suggested, that y'all are still looking into that. And
This
whether or not
design
it's-
team has to look at that to see if it's even feasible.
Okay.
And they're still looking at that.
Well, I mean, looking at the rendering, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Looks great to me. So
It's going
thank
to be
you.
a nice project.
Appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Adams?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
Mr. Craig, I appreciate you all going back to the drawing board, so to speak. I guess it was me that caused the confusion a couple of weeks ago, but Ms. Danley has brought it to the forefront again when she mentions the new design. So that throws me to feel like we've gone back to the drawing board and have spent money twice as far as your firm and TSW is concerned. And that was my concern all along, because we had every opportunity for months to look at this, and from what you're telling me now, the accommodations that have been asked for can be included in the design at this point, and we don't have to tear down and then rebuild, so to speak. That was my concern.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The design didn't change.
Okay.
They didn't make any wholesale changes. This is the normal process of a design project where you make little adjustments as you go. But the scope of the project has not changed.
Looks great. Thank you.
It wasn't any confusion, Councilman Adams. It was a legitimate question. It's, I would think the same thing, that we're running down a car, is red light, caution, we at green, and then someone says, wait a minute, let's do something else. So it's as long as we can continue to make these little subtle
Right.
nuances.
And there was no intent by anybody in our discussions last week. We didn't change any scope. It's just clarification and a better picture, if you will. If you scroll through the drawings that they gave you, it becomes a photorealistic rendering, and that's the best we can do without standing in front of it right now.
Yes, sir, and the details are in the details. It looks great.
Thank
Mayor
you.
Pro Tem?
No, I'm satisfied. I think we got to a point where we needed to get it. I think the clarifications that he pointed out are important. And really, yeah, what we really accomplished was just tweaking it here and there, just sort of an overlay of adjustment to the design, not by any means any wholesale changes.
Very good. Thank you so much. Councilmember Davis?
We had a great Zoom meeting and just tweaking, and look what we got. Got the TVs on the right, and I'm looking at another TV on the left, and the lighting and the roof raised. We are great. We're good to go.
That's good. It's difficult to satisfy everyone, so that's exciting. Councilmember Miller, Nicole Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have any questions. Just want to thank you guys so much for taking the extra time to sit down and work with us and tweak these last couple things so that we can have a great project moving forward. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Time frame. Now what are we looking at, City Manager?
For the design?
Yes, sir.
The design should be completed in March or April with the anticipation of being able to go out for bids for a construction manager in the spring.
Okay.
With hopefully, if we have approval to proceed with construction starting in probably July. Is that?
Okay.
So what our plans are, myself and Ms. Karen Callan will have the financial folks at your retreat in February to talk about bond issuance rates, because as I mentioned to you, that in order to complete this project, you will have to bond out the entire amount, and you will probably have to utilize your SPLOST funds that you have as a contingency, but for your total project cost, you'll have to bond it out.
Okay. All righty. Any questions from council members for the city manager, for TSW, or Mr. Thompson while they're here? Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. We appreciate it so much. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Okay, so now we have comments from citizens and delegates. I know we do have one citizen that would like to come forward. Please give us your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes to speak to us any business germane to the city of Douglasville.
Hello, Madam Mayor.
Good
Name is
evening.
Marshall Phipps. Address is 79 Brookside Court. Now, speaking of big projects, I do want to give you all a general update regarding mine at Hunter Park, and I have 3 things. First one, I was able to select a new location at the park where I could put the old railroad depot. You're familiar with the road leading out of the park when you turn right and you're heading towards the railroad tracks? That plot of land there, right next to that building which contains the semi-trucks, will be the new candidate site. Though I'll definitely have to continue looking at it since it might have to involve cutting trees down at a later date, but it's just sort of a on the top plan, which hopefully in maybe 2 years I could get it off the ground, since I still need to get the old railroad depot moved there. But that's something I'll worry about later down the line. Second thing, regarding the old railroad carriages that belongs to the diesel engine, I contacted the Heart of Dixie Railroad Museum in Alabama. We sort of planned out that we might be able to get those carriages off the mountain and put into a controlled setting at the museum for the time being, before they are slated for a cosmetic restoration, since I figured it'd make more sense just to restore those, the engine, and have those displayed at the park since it's been there for a while. And unfortunately, one of my buddies is still in the hospital from the virus, but he's talking, so thankfully I got that going for me and the rest of my group. But so far, things are going well.
Okay, very good. Thank you for the update.
Holly.
Yes, sir. Any other comments from citizens and delegates? Thank you. I don't see any. Then I will open the floor for a motion to adjourn into executive session for the purpose of discussing a litigation matter after a 5-minute recess. So thank you so much, Councilmember Adams. I have a motion to adjourn to executive session. Is there a second? Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Councilman Estes. All those in favor say aye. Thank you. We are adjourning to executive session after a 5-minute recess.